So let me talk you through what return on investment is and how basically return on investment works. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the quick fundamental deals. So I'm going to go through the simple deal we typically go through, where you have your house that you buy, that's a little bit of a smelly house, and you buy it for somewhere in the region of purchase price of 60,000. Other costs, so legals and stamp duty of 5,000, refurbishment of 20,000, and you're all into this deal for 85,000. Okay, then the value, or the house value's up after the refurbishment's done and the increase of value. A great house. And let's just say the value is 100,000. Mortgage they give you is 75,000. And then what this then does is this thing gives you your net return, okay, or your mortgage, which allows you to sit there with your £10,000 money left invested. Okay, now once you understand the money left invested, then understanding the return on investment really comes into its own. So a lot of estate agents, they like to use the term yield, and yield is very simply a very ugly way of saying what is the purchase price against the rental per year. And that percentage essentially equates to the yield. Now, it doesn't take into account any of the refurbishment, any of the sort of stamp duties, legal fees, brokerage fees, finance fees, anything like that. And therefore, the yield is actually a little bit of a dirty figure. It's a figure that doesn't give you a full picture. Now, the reason I love return on investment and return is very simply because it gives you an overall figure in terms of how much you're going to be making for the amount of money you have invested in this deal as a whole. So next, once we then have our money left invested, okay, so our money left invested in this instance here is £10,000. Okay, £10,000. What we then do is we then say, okay, well, what is the income for this property? What is the income? Okay, the cash flow. So to work out your cash flow as previously gone through, you basically do rent minus mortgage minus management, so your lettings fees, minus operating expenses, so your maintenance, insurance and voids. That then gives you your cash flow. Okay, so what we do is we say, okay, what is your cash flow per year? Okay, because return is based on an annual, so you look at your annual return as opposed to a daily or monthly return. So you say, okay, well, in this instance, let's just say you've got a £200 per calendar month cash flow. You multiply that by 12, which would give you £2,400, which would be your cash flow per year, so your £2,400. Now, to understand what your return is, very simply what you do is you take your cash flow, okay, which is typically the smaller number, but not always, okay, typically the small number, and you divide, so you've got your 2,400, and you divide that by the amount of money you've still got invested, okay, which in this instance, if we take a look at the numbers, would be 2,400 divided by 10,000 equals 0.24. And if you times that by 100, that'll then give you a full percentage form. So this would be a 24% deal. Okay, 0.24 multiplied by 100 equals to 24%. So in this deal, you'd be looking at a 24% return on investment. Now, very simply, what return on investment represents is what percentage of your money are you earning back every year through the income of the property. Okay, that is very simply the return we're looking at. Now, please understand that also on your return on investment, you can also, if you wanted to get a little bit smarter, you can also include things like your equity gain, which is obviously what we discussed in the last video, which is a 15k equity gain. So you can start to include some of that stuff and start to get really technical, but realistically, as the primary purpose of buying the house is the cash flow, the return you're really trying to understand is how much are you earning back on your money over the period of the mortgage or the ownership. Now, what this can also represent is how many years it will take to repay. Okay, which again, a nice simple calculation. So we love to work in years, so how many years to earn your original investment back. So your money left invested, or your investment here, is £10,000. So what you do is you'd say, well, we've got the £10,000, okay, and you divide that very simply by 2.4 thousand pounds, so 2,400, will equate to just over 4 years. So if we go 10 divided by 2.4 equals 4.15. So how this would work out is 4.15 years. That's how long it would take for you to earn your investment back from this property. Now, after the term of these 4.15 years, the amount of money you'll have invested in this house will be a net total of zilch, £0. You'll own this house absolutely for free, and that's sort of the aim of the game of what we're doing here. Hope this helps.